Now that Apple has released its new MacBook Pros with M3 processors, are you feeling confused about which one you need for your next adventure? There are so many MacBook Airs and now MacBook Pros to choose from. Are you worried that whatever you buy is going to completely blow your travel budget? Well, worry no more, because by the end of this video, you'll know the top 3 MacBooks that I think will best suit your travel and adventure needs and your budget. Hey fellow adventurers, I'm Saab Johal and welcome back to my channel. Today we're delving into the world of MacBooks and why you don't have to spend top dollar to get a brilliant MacBook for when you're on the road wherever you may find yourself. Before I give you my 3 recommendations, and don't worry, I've done a lot of research before arriving at my recommendations for you, let's cover what you need to be thinking about when considering your MacBook purchase. When buying a MacBook, consider the number of CPU cores, amount of RAM, storage capacity, screen size, and price. More CPU cores allows for advanced computing, but it may not be necessary if you're not into high-level gaming or video editing. Choose the right amount of RAM for your needs. 8 GB may be enough for casual users, but 16 GB is recommended for modern browsers. Remember that RAM in MacBooks is not user upgradable. Choose well now, or you may regret it later. So if you can afford it, go for at least 16 GB. Storage options range from 256 gigs to 8 TB. Consider 512 gigs or more if it's within your budget, as you'll quickly feel the limits of a 256 gig machine. Screen size affects weight. Smaller screens are better for frequent travel. Now, MacBooks have bright, sharp displays, but only the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros offer Pro Motion for smoother scrolling and graphics. But a 60Hz display, which is on all the other MacBooks, Airs and Pros, is fine for daily use. For smoother motion, you'll need to pay more. So let's talk about price range, because it is pretty big. The cheapest MacBook is the 13-inch M1 Air at $999, often reduced to maybe $750 at some places. The priciest is the 16-inch MacBook Pro M3 Max at a whopping $7,199. Factors such as chip type, screen size, and storage will affect the price. Check out links in my description, because here come my recommendations to help you choose wisely. Starting with my best budget option, the best option if you need a lot of power, and my best overall pick out of the MacBook Air and MacBook Pro lineup in November 2023. If you're on a budget, the best MacBook is the MacBook Air M1. The MacBook Air M1 is an affordable option for students or those on tight budgets at $999. It has a beautiful 13.3-inch Retina display and weighs just 2.8 pounds. The laptop is silent due to passive cooling and has a comfortable keyboard and trackpad. Now, that M1 chip offers impressive responsiveness and battery life, lasting 16 hours and 20 minutes in a test by Engadget. However, drawbacks include a less sharp webcam compared to the M2 Air and only 2 Thunderbolt ports with no SD card slot. You'll have to have an adapter for that. You can choose the base MacBook Air, which is 8 gigs, 256 gigs SSD for web-based programs and cloud apps. For an extra $200, upgrades to 16 gigs memory for streaming, more open tabs, or running many apps. And alternatively, get 512 gigs storage for local files and photos. Here comes my best MacBook for creatives that need power. The MacBook Pro M3. The updated M3 MacBook Pros have the speed and power for large multimedia projects. The new base model Pro has 8 gigs of memory and 512 gigs of storage, and the standard M3 chip costing $1,599. However, I do recommend choosing a model with at least 16 gigs of RAM. Now, those M3 MacBook Pros have a bright mini LED liquid retina XDR display with that ProMotion 120Hz refresh rate. They feature great sound quality and built-in mics for video calls. And those ports include the SD card, headphone jack, HDMI port, 3 Thunderbolt 4 sockets, and a MagSafe charging port. In tests by Engadget, Battery life outperforms Apple's estimates, around 24 hours for the 14-inch model and slightly longer for the 16-inch Pro. It actually takes about 2 days before needing to recharge, which is incredible for such a high-powered machine. Okay, so here it is. My best overall MacBook is the MacBook Air M2. The 2022 MacBook Air M2 is perfect for everyday use. It's a better choice than the 13-inch MacBook Pro, as it's lighter and cheaper. If you don't need that high octane horsepower, this is a great choice. With a 13.6-inch liquid retina screen and a quad speaker array, it also offers great visuals and sounds. The 1080p webcam is an improvement over previous models, and the laptop has a 3.5mm headphone jack, 2 USB-C Thunderbolt ports, and a MagSafe connector. Its battery lasts 16 hours and 30 minutes in one test, enough for 1 or even 2 days of work for most users. The fanless system is quiet, but may occasionally throttle things down on the processor side of things to keep cool. For most users, I would recommend the 1499 configuration with an 8-core GPU, 16 gigs of memory, and 512 gigs SSD storage. One of the other choices you might like to consider is the M2 MacBook Air 15-inch version. Now that's going to give you considerably more screen real estate to play with. It's actually quite surprising how much bigger it feels. But don't forget, it's going to be that much bigger for you to carry around with that extra weight too. So to recap, I recommend the MacBook Air M2 for most, M1 Air for students, and 14 to 16-inch MacBook Pro for professionals that need super processing power on the move. If possible, upgrade to 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs SSD storage for future proofing. Thank you for tuning in today. If you've got any questions or want to share your recent MacBook experiences, please drop them in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed my recommendations. Until next time, safe travels, stay connected, and keep exploring. This is Saab Johal signing off. Cheers.